Marian looked bewildered. I remember that. And how she clung to my side. I could have screamed, and, in fact, may have done. At the end of the day, we fought over something, and she had a crying spell under a tree on our front lawn. How she wailed and stamped that boot, which drew my eye as surely as the bulging goiter in old Miss Fowley's throat. Father saw some of this and afterward scolded me. I think I went to bed without supper, and I probably sulked for days. What an awful child I was. Yet Marian forgave me. She always forgives me. From time to time this afternoon, I noticed her smiling at me over her magazine. Mr. Webb was at the station with his car, but I told him I preferred to walk. It had stopped raining by then. No offense was taken. They are used to my ways. And so I walked home on this damp gray evening. Wet leaves underfoot, and darkness seeping into the sky through the bare branches of the trees. Winter will soon be upon us. My neighbors already at their suppers behind lighted kitchen windows. Felt a little melancholy remembering other Saturday evenings, when I would have our supper on the stove, waiting for the sound of Father's car in the driveway, bringing Nora up from the station. Certainly Nora would never have walked. Waiting in the kitchen for her breathless entrance. Another tale of some adventure in acting class or the charms of a new beau. Father already frowning at this commotion as he hung up his coat in the hallway. It's nearly 7 months now, and I thought I was getting used to Father being gone. Yet tonight as I walked along Church Street, I felt again the terrible finality of his absence. Then I was very nearly knocked over by Clayton Tooney, who came charging out of the darkness at the corner of Broad Street. It was startling, to say the least, and I was cross with him. "Clayton," I said, "for goodness' sake, watch where you're going." "Sorry, Miss Callan. I was over at the Martins listening to their radio with Donnie, and now I'm late for supper, and Ma's gonna skin me alive." And off he went again, that small, nervous figure racing along Church Street. Poor Clayton, always in a hurry and always late. Without fail, the last one into class after recess.
Tatum House, 138 East 38th Street, New York. November 10, 1934. Dear Clara, well, I made it, and I am now at the above address. Tatum House is an apartment hotel for self-supporting women. I hope to become one soon. It's very clean, well-maintained, and reasonably priced. It's also quite convenient. I stayed with Jack and Doris Halpern for a few days, and then I found this place. The Halperns live uptown, dozens of blocks away, but the subway can get you around the city so fast that you hardly notice distances. New York is not that hard to navigate once you get the hang of it, but brother, is it noisy. The taxi drivers are always honking their horns, and you really have to be careful crossing the street. Everyone seems to be in such a blasted hurry. I thought Toronto was bad. There are so many people out on the streets at all hours, and I have to say, Clara, that I have never seen so many handsome men, though so many of them are swarthy. I guess they must be Italian or Greek or maybe Jewish. Awfully good-looking, though. You also see a lot of colored people down here. Now, about work. On Thursday, Jack took me to Benjamin, Hecker & Freed, an advertising agency, and introduced me to some people, including this writer, Evelyn Dowling. How can I describe Evelyn? She reminds me of that song we used to sing when we were kids. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. Remember that? She's only about 5 feet tall and nearly as wide, and she has this big head of reddish hair. Wears beautifully cut tailored suits and expensive-looking shoes. She's not going to win any beauty contests, but she's very funny and obviously very successful. Smokes like the dickens. Anyway, I did a voice test, several, actually, and they liked what they heard, or at least that's what they told me. They haven't promised anything yet, but Jack thinks I'm exactly what they are looking for with this new show that Evelyn is writing. Meantime, as I told Jack, I am in this big city, and I have to pay bills for fairly important items like food and rent, but he said that he will find me some commercial work within the next week or so, and I should be all right. Good Lord, I hope so. I have enough money to last about 6 weeks, and after that I'll have to go on the dole, or what's more likely, they'll probably kick me out of their fair country. To tell you the truth, though, I am pretty hopeful about all this. I had a very good feeling last Thursday when I was reading for these people. I just sensed that they liked what they heard, particularly Miss D. So, we shall see. Jack and Doris are picking me up in about an hour, and we are going out to dinner. They've been just wonderful to me. So, all in all, I would say it's been a good first week, and I'm not homesick yet, but please write. Love, Nora. P.S. There's a hallway telephone on my floor, and I can be reached at University 50040 in case of an emergency. I wish you would get a phone, but we've been through all that, haven't we? So I suppose you can use the Brydens if you have to, but I wish you'd think about it again, Clara. Wouldn't it be nice if we could talk to one another once or twice a week? But what did Father used to say about saving your breath to cool your porridge?
Whitfield, Ontario, Saturday, November 17, 1934. Dear Nora, I'm glad that you have found a decent place to stay that isn't too dear. I hope you will be careful in that city. I know it would drive me to distraction just walking out the door into such crowds. How on earth do people earn their livings, and where, I wonder, does the food come from to feed so many mouths? There must be thousands out of work down there. We are surviving in the village, though over in Linden they are really up against it. The furniture factory has laid off nearly all the men, and things are very flat with many families now on relief. School is fine, though Milton and I now have to do the work of 3. Because we got on so well in the spring, I think the board just assumes that the school can be run by 2 people. They claim they haven't the money this year for another teacher, and that may be so, but I'm inclined to think that they are just being close about it. However, there's nothing we can do. Milton is a pleasant fellow to work for, but he dithers a good deal, and he lacks Father's authority as a principal. I suppose one can't be too hard on him, but I find he's not strict enough with some of the rougher children, who could benefit from a good hiding now and then. Mr. Wilkins finally gave me the last payment for Father's car yesterday, and the enclosed money order for $50 is your share. I am sure you can put it to good use. To tell you the truth, I now regret selling the car. It has occurred to me more than once over the last little while that I might have kept it and learned how to drive. I just didn't think that way at the time of Father's death, and maybe I was just in too much of a hurry to get everything settled. Speaking of getting settled, I have also dealt with the man from Linden Monuments, who finally got around to seeing me the week before last. These people certainly take their time to conduct business. I've been after him since the summer. He wanted to sell me some falderall for the family headstone, and showed me a catalogue which very nearly struck me dumb with amazement and horror. Hundreds of dreadful little verses, which attempt to reassure the living that the dead are not so badly off. Perhaps they aren't, but in any case I told him that plain words would have to do the job. And so alongside Mother's and Thomas's names and years will be Edward J. Callan, 1869-1934. I hope that's all right with you. I think I have now mastered the furnace. It has been worrying me all fall, but Mr. Bryden has given me several lessons on how to start it and keep it going. There is a trick to all this. You have to be careful about allowing enough flame through the coals to burn off the gas, but you can't smother the flame, or, of course, the darn thing will go out. I now appreciate the hours Father used to spend watching this monster in the cellar. And in a way it is a monster that will have to be attended to and appeased every day of the blessed week from now until April. I was amused by your colorful description of Miss Dowling, with her tobacco-stained fingers and tailored suits. You are certainly meeting some exotic creatures down there, aren't you? I have noted the telephone number you gave me and passed it on to Mrs. Bryden, who says hello and good luck. She will get in touch with you if I fall down the cellar stairs and brain myself some evening. And no, I am not going to rent a telephone. As you say, we've been through all that, and I still maintain that in my case it's a waste of money. I doubt whether I would phone 3 people in a month, and I see no reason why we can't keep in touch by letter. Do take care of yourself in that city, Nora. Clara. P.S. Had our first winter storm this week, but I am finally dug out.
Tatum House, 138 East 38th Street, New York, November 25, 1934. Dear Clara, thanks for your letter, but please don't talk about falling down the cellar stairs. It gives me the willies when you say things like that. I know you are facing your first winter alone in that big house, but try not to be morbid, okay? Well, I've survived nearly a month down here, and to be honest, I'm really glad I made this move. New York is such a fascinating city, and I've just been too busy to be homesick. People have been terrific to me. Americans are much more open in their ways than us. It sure doesn't take them long to get acquainted with you. If you had been listening to the radio last Tuesday night to a program called The Incredible Adventures of Mr. Wang, if you get it up there, you would have heard my voice, though you might not have recognized me. I played a gangster's mole who was trapped in a warehouse surrounded by police and the inscrutable Mr. Wang, and my line was, "Let's get out of here, now!" That was supposed to be delivered in a hard-boiled egg kind of a way, according to the director. Mr. Wang is a detective along the lines of Charlie Chan or Fu Manchu. Do any of these names mean anything to you? Probably not. Anyway, it was fun to do, even if I only had that one immortal line. I know it's not Uncle Vanya, but it's a start. I've also been doing some commercial work, thanks to Jack, for Italian Balm. The work is a little boring, but it pays well, and as Jack says, I'm getting all this experience. They seem to like my voice at the agency. Next week we start rehearsals for a show about a surgeon who performs all these life-saving operations, calling Dr. Donaldson. I'm going to play the doctor's nurse, June Wilson, and I actually announced the show by saying through this microphone filter, "Calling Dr. Donaldson, calling Dr. Donaldson," as if it were in a hospital ward. That will be an afternoon show. Evelyn is writing another serial about, get this, two sisters who live in a small town somewhere in the heartland of America. The younger sister, Effie, is always getting into trouble, usually men, and the older sister, Alice, is the wise one who dispenses advice and gets her sister and others out of jams. Now guess which part they are grooming your kid sister for? Wrong! I'm going to play the older sister, so there. It will be called The House on Chestnut Street. According to Evelyn, and she should know, the big market in radio in the next few years is going to be in afternoon serial dramas for housewives. It makes sense when you think about it. Women are home all day washing and ironing and cleaning, and while they're doing all that, they can listen to programs about people who lead more interesting lives. It's the perfect escape when you're ironing your husband's shirt to listen to a woman falling in love with a handsome doctor or rich lawyer. There are a lot of food and cosmetic companies interested in this market, so there should be plenty of sponsors out there. The other thing that's happened is this. Jack and Doris took me to a party down in Greenwich Village the other night, and I met this couple, Marty and Ida Hirsch. He's a playwright, and he and Ida are producing this play. It's not Broadway or anything. In fact, I think it's fairly small potatoes, but they asked me if I would be interested in reading for a part. I had told them about my experience, limited though it was with the Elliott Hall Players, and my radio work up in Toronto. So they asked me, and I said, sure, and next Wednesday I'm going to try out. I figure I have to get all the experience I can, and this seems like a good opportunity. Marty asked me all about Canada and what the politics were like up there. He had this strange idea that we were still ruled by the King of England. I've discovered that Americans don't know a lot about some things. But Marty is a nice guy, if a little opinionated, and I'm looking forward to joining this group. He told me I had a lot of moxie coming down here on my own from Canada. I've never heard that word before. Have you? Thanks a heap for the money, and write again soon. Love, Nora.
Wednesday, November 28. Mr. and Mrs. Cameron came by this evening with Willard McFarlane. They were collecting winter clothes for the needy. Last Sunday I told him I had some things of Father's, including the new overcoat he bought on sale in Toronto last January and then refused to wear. He brought it home and, standing in it in front of the hallway mirror, decided that it was too grand. "I can't walk around in a coat like this when so many people are hard up," he said. I told this story to Willard and the Camerons, and they enjoyed it. "That sounds like Ed," said Willard, holding up the coat. "But gosh almighty, this is some coat. It's a dandy."